But the Israeli regime, it doesn't have a very strong intelligence gathering capability. The collective West is what gives them
You
the
don't really mean
intelligence.
that, do
They,
you? You don't
well,
really mean.
absolutely. I know more
Hang
about
on, hang on.
Israel. No,
Don't
again,
keep
please, if you
money.
want to keep interrupting me, if you want to keep interrupting, I really can't say anything because I've already lost my trend of thought on two or three occasions.
My country is at war, fighting for its life. But after I heard the lies and slanders leveled at my country by many of the speakers at this podium, I decided to come here and set the record straight. Israel seeks peace. Israel yearns for peace. Israel has made peace and will make peace again. Israel was soon forced to defend itself on 6 more war fronts organized by Iran. I have a message for the tyrants of Tehran. If you strike us, we will strike you. There is no place. There is no place in Iran that the long arm of Israel cannot reach. And that's true of the entire Middle East.
Emergency workers scaled rubble inside Iran's embassy compound in Syria after a suspected bombing by Israeli warplanes on Monday. Tehran said the strike killed 7 military advisors, including 3 senior commanders. The target, according to Iranian state media, was top Revolutionary Guards commander Mohammad Reza Zahedi. He had been a senior commander in Iran's elite Quds force, the Corps' overseas arm, according to the Guards. Iran's ambassador to Syria, Hossein Akbari, said Tehran's response would be harsh.
Iran was attacked on April the 1st, right? It was attacked, the embassy of Iran was attacked in Syria by Israel. After that, on the first occasion, they then sent missiles and drones, correct? Now, my question to you is, does Iran have a right to defend itself? And if so, what is a proportionate response? Because you see, I've been having a moral quandary about the issue. Piers Morgan, what's a proportionate response for Iran?
I'll tell you what I think about Iran. I think Iran is an unbelievably nefarious place which has been fueling Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah for many years with a joint
does that have a right to defend
joint ideology that they want to eradicate Israel in any way they can.
Okay. Does it have
so
a right to
I
defend
think
itself?
Iran is one of the most despicable
Does it have a right to
regimes
defend itself?
in the world. I also think that right now the Iranian regime is in serious danger.
You look completely discombobulated.
What do you mean?
You look dishevelled.
I'm telling you what I think of Iran.
I'm asking you, do they have a right to defend themselves? Do you think they have a right to defend themselves? Both of you can answer the question. Do they have a right to defend? They were attacked. The sovereign nation was attacked. My question is, does it have a right to defend?
Iran has been fueling attacks on Israel now for what?
This is the map I presented here last year. It's a map of a blessing. It shows Israel and its Arab partners forming a land bridge connecting Asia and Europe between the Indian Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. Across this bridge, we will lay rail lines, energy pipelines, fiber optic cables, and this will serve the betterment of 2 billion people. Now look at this second map. It's a map. Look at the second map. It's a map of a curse. It's a map of an arc of terror that Iran has created and imposed from the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean. Iran's malignant arc has shut down international waterways. It cuts off trade. It destroys millions, destroys nations from within, and inflicts misery on millions. On the one hand, a bright blessing, a future of hope. On the other hand, a dark future of despair. And if you think this dark map is only a curse for Israel, if you think that, then you should think again.
So the Israeli regime, by bombing embassies, by bombing official guests of countries, are violating the most basic principles in diplomatic affairs and with regards to states, and it should be condemned. But the Israeli regime, it doesn't have a very strong intelligence gathering capability. The collective West is what gives them the
don't
intelligence.
really mean that, do you? You don't really.
Well, absolutely. I know more about Israel. No, again, please, if you want to keep interrupting me, if you want to keep interrupting, I really can't say anything because I've already lost my train of thought on 2 or 3 occasions. No, without a doubt, they don't have great capabilities. It is the collective West that is feeding them intelligence. It is the Five Eyes. It is the U.S. and military, their airplanes flying over the region, their bases across the region. Even now, as the Israelis want to attack Iran, the Americans have said openly that they're going to help them. It is Western embassies across the region, in Iran, in Lebanon, that are assisting them. So, without a doubt, the Israelis.
I'm not denying it.
Excuse me. So, without the Israelis would not even be able to continue this war for a week if it wasn't for day and night the West supporting them at all levels.
The reality is they have the full undiluted support, military and political, from the Americans. And therefore, I ask again, are you worried that they might be able to take out your nuclear installations, your oil and gas and petrol infrastructure? If they could do that to Ismail Haniyeh with so much ease without you even knowing they were going to hit, they could do the same to your nuclear infrastructure or your oil and gas. Are you worried about that?
No, Iran's nuclear facilities are deep underground. And Iran's military industry, because there was always a threat of the United States attacking Iran. Remember, the United States surrounded Iran when they invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, and their presence in the Persian Gulf region is enormous. So the Iranians for years have been developing underground capabilities that are untouchable to the West. And even in Lebanon, Hezbollah is in no crisis, by the way, just to make this point clear. Hezbollah's weakest link has always been. Excuse me. I will get to your answer. If you allow me to continue with my thread of thought, I will get there. I think you have seen footage of the missiles striking, and I think you've seen how devastating the impact was. And if it was such a thing,
you tell me. I'm asking you. Why don't you tell me what do you think Iran achieved?
If Iran severely damaged Israeli military capabilities. Look, let's be very blunt here. The Israeli regime is the same. This is the same regime that says they don't kill civilians, but at the same time they call Palestinians Amalek, and in biblical terms, that is a tribe that was completely wiped out. I am. I'm saying that you are using sources as credible, or you're putting forward to me sources, and you're not necessarily saying personally that they're credible. You're saying to me that this source says that the attack was a failure. Well, that same source.
Iran achieved? I'm asking for your opinion.
Well, Iran, as I pointed out, Iran severely damaged their military capabilities.
Which one?
One was the air base. And the very fact that Iran strikes military targets and not civilian targets, whereas the Israelis focus on civilian targets. I was in Beirut during for 8 or 9 days. I just returned 3 days ago. They've been bombing houses and residential towers day and night. They've been slaughtering women and children, just as they do in Gaza. What Iran strikes.
You mentioned the airbase. I assume you're talking about Nevatim airbase. 2 American newspapers, the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal, have accepted that at least 24 Iranian missiles hit the Nevatim airbase. That's where it's said that Israel's F-35 fighters are kept. We've seen satellite images of the hangar being damaged. Do you believe Iran damaged the planes as well? And if it did, how many planes were damaged? Because that's where the big question is. The hangar was damaged. We've seen that on the satellite images, but the Israelis claim that the planes were airborne. None of them were damaged. Do you believe planes were damaged?
Well, as I said, without a doubt, the planes were destroyed and damaged. But more than that is the very fact that none of the missiles, which are older generation missiles of Iran, none of them were stopped. Among the almost 200, roughly 200 missiles that the Iranians fired, only 8% or 9%, I don't know the exact number, didn't get to their destination. And it's not clear how many of them were intercepted and how many of them didn't make it. Because as I said, many of these are older generation missiles that have been in stock for a very long period of time. Iran hasn't begun using it.
Why did you use old generation missiles that you aren't even sure would make it to the destination? Why didn't you use new ones? What's the point of that?
That's a good question. First of all, almost all of them got through. That's key. And second of all, that's the same question that people asked me in April when Iran fired the drones and old missiles. When Iran fired 300 drones and a couple of dozen of older missiles, Iran forced the Israelis and the Americans. The Americans did the heavy lifting, not the Israelis. Their air defense capabilities are the more important ones, not the Israelis. But they use all of their capabilities to down these drones. They spent billions of dollars, whereas Iran spent literally nothing. But that was an intelligence gathering operation. Okay. So this time round, the Iranians used these drones that got through, and they still have not revealed their real capabilities to the Americans or the Israelis, because they're using older generation
more capabilities, better capabilities that can actually go through the Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow 2. In other words, Israel has nothing to worry about.
Yes, Iran can easily do that. Iran has hundreds of thousands of missiles.
So this was admirable restraint on Iran's part, as you're suggesting.
Iran, Hezbollah, the resistance has shown restraint for a year.
Yep.
For a year. It is not Iran that bombs embassies. It's not Iran that murders international guests. It's not Iran that bombs homes and apartment blocks. I think it's clearest. No, but let me add a point here, and that is that, as I was saying, that Hezbollah, their weak point was Beirut, and that is basically because of decades of the West being able to gather intelligence in the capital. Beirut has always been known as a city for spying and espionage, Western embassies, NGOs.
Can we talk about Iran first? Otherwise, the audience will get...
Yes, I was getting to that. So I was saying, just as the tunnels in Lebanon, the Israelis have been unable to do anything about them, in Iran, all of its key military assets and all of its peaceful nuclear program, all of its key assets are deep underground. The Israeli regime, if they strike Iran and they do damage, whether it's a military base or whether it's a part of the Iranian nuclear program or whether it's Iranian economic installations, the Iranian response will be much more severe than what we saw last week. And I think we saw how almost all of the Iranian missiles got through, and Iran did not fire any hypersonic missiles, nor did it fire any of its newer generation missiles.
I'll come to the Iranian response in a moment's time. One more question about the manner in which Israel hit out at you. After Israel killed Hassan Nasrallah, it's widely reported that Ayatollah Khamenei was immediately taken to a safe house for protection. Isn't that a clear sign that Iran was concerned and worried about Israel's possible prowess? Otherwise, why did they take him to a safe house?
I would refrain from using Western media and Western sources because they are obviously working hand in hand with the Israelis. If anyone thinks, if any of us rely on the West for our information, then I think we're all in deep trouble. Any of us who at least follows it. He just on Friday, Ayatollah Khamenei went in the middle of Tehran and gave not only a Friday prayer sermon, but afterwards he spoke with people, and before that he sat in a ceremony to commemorate in that place, to commemorate Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. So he was there for hours in the open amidst millions of people, and he did not look frightened at all. So no, we are not frightened of the Israeli regime. It is a weak and vulnerable regime. Whatever resources it has comes from the West, and it has exposed itself to the world as a genocidal regime, as a regime that's willing to carry out a Holocaust. And the West, by siding with this regime, has destroyed its image across the world.
Okay.
But it is possible that the Israelis may strike Iran. But the Iranian response will be, without a doubt, the Iranian retaliation will, without a doubt, be overwhelming.
At a time when the world is saying and asking, can Iran, even with the support of the entire axis of resistance, such as that axis is today, can Iran win against a combination of Israel and America, with support from European countries like Germany, France, and UK, and even Arab countries like Jordan? Can Iran win against that combination? Or today, do you accept, even if reluctantly and between gritted teeth, that Israel and the Americans probably have the upper hand?
I think that's wishful thinking on behalf of some people, and it would be very disappointing if that was something that people in your part of the world wished, especially with the tradition that India has always had, and how India has always behaved in the previous decades with regards to the non-aligned movement and what is now the global South. But no, the United States is not going to be able to defeat Iran. Israel has already lost the war. It has lost in Gaza. It has failed to take Gaza. It has failed to take any parts of Lebanon. And it has failed in the eyes of the world because it has exposed itself as a genocidal regime. And Iranian missiles got through all the defense capabilities with great ease. And the Israeli regime knows that. And the reason why the Americans don't want escalation is because they know that the Iranians can hit back very, very, very hard. But Netanyahu, who knows he's lost the war and will lose the war, he wants to get the Americans into the war because he doesn't care about the West or anyone else. He doesn't care about the global economy. He cares about Netanyahu. But the problem is that if the Americans enter the war, American assets in the Persian Gulf and in Iraq will be swept away. And those regimes that host American bases, their oil and gas installations will be swept away because war is war. So that would destroy the global economy. That would destroy the Indian economy, the Iranian economy, the US economy. Every economy across the globe will be destroyed or wrecked in a way in which I don't think we'll see it recover during our lifetime. And the Israelis don't care because the only thing they care about is their own selfish interest and preserving this colony, which stands upon the blood of so many innocent Palestinians and Lebanese and others.